Hello, thanks for joining me again for Take 10 with Proverbs. Today we're looking at the 10th chapter of Proverbs, and we're kind of shifting gears. The first nine, it says here, first nine chapters of Proverbs are an extended lesson of the value of wisdom, but the book then shifts gears and begins to apply that wisdom to everyday life, switching from philosophical to practical. So the next 12 chapters, we're going to be hitting home a little bit more on the practical application of it. So I'm going to start reading through 10 here. I'll highlight a few verses, but really at the end of the day, a lot of them just speak straight out forward in everyday examples. So it starts out, the wise son brings joy to his father, but the foolish son brings grief to his mother. Ill-gotten treasures have no lasting value. The righteousness delivers from death. The Lord does not let the righteous go hungry, but thwards the craving of the wicked. Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth. He who gathers crops in the summer is prudent son, but he who sleeps during the harvest is disgraceful son. Blessings crowns the head of the righteous, but violence overwhelms the mouth of the wicked. The name of the righteous is used in blessings, but the name of the wicked will rot. The wise in heart accepts commands, but the chattering fool comes to ruin. Whoever walks with integrity walks with security, but whoever takes crooked paths will be found out about. Whoever winks maliciously causes grief, and chattering fools come to a ruin. The mouth of the righteous is a fountain of life, but the mouth of the wicked conceals violence. Hatred stirs up conflict, but love covers over all wrongs. Wisdom is found in the lips of the discerning, but the rod is for the backs of one who has no sense. The wise store up knowledge, but the mouth of the fool invites ruin. The wealth of the rich is their fortified cities, but the poverty of the ruin is of poor. The wages of the righteous life, but the earnings of the wicked are sin and death. Whoever heeds discipline shows the way of life, but whoever ignores correction leads others astray. Whoever conceals hatred with lying lips and spreads slander is a fool. Sin is not ended by multiplying words, but the prudent hold their tongue. The tongue of the righteous is choice silver, but the heart of the wicked is of little value. The lips of the righteous nourish many, but the fools die for lack of sense. The blessings of the Lord will bring wealth without painful toil for it. A fool finds pleasure in wicked schemes, but a person of understanding delights in wisdom. What the wicked dread will overtake them, and what the righteous desire will be granted. When the storm has swept by, the wicked are gone, but the righteous stand firm. As vinegar to teeth and smoke to the eye, so is sluggards of those who send them. The fear of the Lord adds length of life, but the years of the wicked are cut short. The prospects of the righteous is joy, but the hopes of the wicked come to nothing. The way of the Lord is a refuge for the blameless, but it is the ruin of those who do evil. The righteous will never be uprooted, but the wicked will not remain in the land. From the mouth of the righteous comes the fruit of wisdom, but a perverse tongue will be silenced. The lips of the righteous know what finds favor, but the mouth of the wicked only what is perverse. So as I said, this is kind of a little bit more just black and white, everyday type principles, or some speak to the morals, but really just everyday life principles of wisdom and what it can do. So as I said, I'm going to highlight just a couple. So in verse 12 it says, hatred stirs up conflict, but love covers over wrongs. You may have heard it said this way, love will cover a multitude of sins. That's in the New Testament. So when there's hatred, when you dislike somebody and you start to talk, first of all, you're going to start to slander them. Secondly, you're just going to stir up all kinds of conflict with stuff, because chances are whatever you're saying is going to make it back to that person, and then they're going to come back if they're got any, I guess I would say, self-wherewithal. If they're like me, at least, you're going to go back and find out, well, what'd you say and why'd you say that? Or what, this isn't true, or whatever that case may be. But if you know something, and rather than adding your 2 cents or your thoughts, just keep your mouth shut. Well, even if that person is wrong, if you're not part of the solution, don't be part of the problem. Keep your mouth shut, and then that way you don't have that stuff come back to you. And who knows, maybe that person will not be slandered, and perhaps you can lead and guide that person gently in a good way. The wealth of the rich is their fortified city, but the poverty is the ruin of the poor. I think of this, the wealth of the rich is their fortified city. People that are really wealthy typically have gates. They lived in gated communities. They have walls around, or fencing. They have security systems. And for those that can afford that, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But so true it is. But the poverty of the ruin of the poor. People of less means don't have that. And so I'm just going to kind of pick on our U.S. border system. It makes no sense that we don't have gates, that we don't have a secure border protecting our country, because we certainly should, and we are wealthy enough that we could, to let all the evil that comes across the border, and I'm not talking specifically people, although there are some bad people. There's a lot of great people that come across the border too. But the drugs, the human trafficking, the contraband of all different ways, it doesn't make sense, and it's going to bring us to our ruin if we don't do something about it. Verse 16, the wages of the righteous life, but the earnings of the wicked are sin and death. Now, again, as I said, almost every piece of scripture has a physical, literal application, but then there's also a spiritual. We may tend to think that when I read that verse, that the wages of the righteous is life, that it could be talking about salvation, but we must remember that salvation is by grace, God's grace. It's unearned, unmerited grace of God given to his creation for those who choose to receive it. God wants nobody to perish, wishes all would come to him. But unfortunately, we know that doesn't happen. What that's really saying there is the wages of the righteous is life, is if you are counted righteous in God's eyes, yeah, you're going to have some troubles. You're going to have some problems from time to time. You're going to go through some rough moments or tough spots. But overall, your life is going to have a higher quality. However, if you're wicked or if you're a fool, the earnings is sin and death. Well, first of all, let's take a look at that. Sin. What is sin? Obviously separation from God, but sin is also outlined as murdering, stealing, lying, and that's just to name a couple. Idolatry. any one of those things are sin, but it's also going to lead to death. If you do things that are wicked in the sight of God, then you have the spiritual death, you have the physical death. Your life is not going to show any kind of real fruit, and most likely you're going to be looking a little worse for wear. I was just talking today with my brother. I know people I've went to school with that's lived a hard, fast life, and it looks, you can see it in their age. They're the same age as me, but they look a lot older. And with that being said, there's some people out there that's my age or even a little older than me that look even younger. That's not to say that I'm this or I'm that. I'm just stating that how you live your life determines how well the quality of your life is. And I think that's really what we need to take away from that. And I'm going to end up with this last one. The fear of the Lord adds length of life, but the years of the wicked are cut short. Now, that's not to say that everybody that fears the Lord is going to live to be 120. And that's not to say that everybody that doesn't love the Lord or hasn't received the Lord is going to die of a young death. There's no rhyme or reasoning in people's ages and the time at which they come to pass. This is not a hard, fast rule that if this, then this. This is a generalization. It talks in Psalms that, the average lifespan of a person is 70, by reason maybe 80. If you do stupid things, you're running the risk of dying younger. If you do smart things, then you run the risk of living. I say run the risk. I have to chuckle at that one. You chances are you're going to have a longer life, and if you do things right, if you eat right, if you exercise, if you do all these things right, then chances are you're going to have a higher quality of life. Again, it's not a hard, fast rule. This is a general principle. Just saying, if you live righteously, your life is going to be better overall. Doesn't mean you're not going to experience some tough times or some difficulties or some challenges. But at the end of the day, if you was to start stacking yourself up against somebody that didn't live that righteous life, most likely you would see that there's a huge difference in the quality of life. So this concludes the end of chapter 10. Thank you for taking the time to join me for Take 10 with Proverbs. We'll be looking at 11 tomorrow. And remember to like, share, subscribe, pass it on, repost on social media websites if this word has been encouraging or helped you in any way. Or if you know of somebody that could possibly use it, maybe use some encouragement, or maybe just a way to send a nice little reminder to people that if you live the way God wants you to live, then chances are life's going to be a whole lot smoother. So that ends us for chapter 10 in Proverbs. God bless and have a great day.